welcome back to another video. I'm sorry I've been kind of inactive, honestly. This is the first time I've done my hair and makeup in like a full week, I'd say, which is kind of crazy for me because usually I like to get ready pretty often, but I've just been so all over the place and so busy, and I'm so thankful because my company has been doing so good, and I've been just stuck in there packing orders, and honestly I couldn't be more thankful. But it is time consuming and I'm just always on the go. But like I said, I love it. It's what it's like being an entrepreneur, so it's fine. But I wanted to come on here and talk about a lot of things, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I filmed this video already. And I actually did a drive with me mukbang, and the video literally got corrupted. So now I'm sitting here talking to you guys about it in my room. But it's honestly for the better because the drive around mukbang / rant with me, all that it was my phone falling every 5 seconds. So I need to get a tripod for my car if I want to film a drive with me. And if you guys want that and you guys think it'll be really cool, let me know and I will add a tripod and get it from Amazon or something so I can film them for you guys. Look how cute this clip is. But anyways, let's get into it. You guys know I'm engaged. Okay, this is my first. Also, I just put a ring on this finger and I don't know how I feel. I kind of like it just being my engagement ring, but I miss wearing rings. But anyways, not the point. So yes, I am engaged, and it's been kind of a crazy experience with people, especially because I feel like everyone just has an opinion, and I understand. My life is in social media, so of course everyone, has their opinions. But at the end of the day, I still wanted to come on here and just talk about some things because I've seen so many comments about people saying that I've changed and I've my fiance has made me change, and just a lot of stuff. And the things that they're saying I changed about, it really bothers me because I did not. I just stopped sharing as much with people, and I feel like that was more for me and my mental health because I just kind of didn't want to share that much with social media anymore. So I kind of took a step back. And obviously now too, I feel like I don't even post as much anymore. I mean, I still post, I'm still here, but I definitely kind of did take a step back. Also, peep the hair growth. My hair is looking healthier than ever. It's getting so long. Her lovely pleasures. That's all it is. But back to the point. So there's a couple things that I'm going to touch on. I'm all over the place right now. There's a couple things I want to touch on. There was one comment in particular. I don't remember who commented it or what it was, but they had basically commented this comment where it explained every era I was in with each one of my past relationships and now the era I'm in with my current relationship. And, just this whole thing. And basically how I am changing myself too much and people are worried about me and how I don't stand for things I used to stand for. And I was like, you know what? I could understand why people say this. So I was like, let me come on here and talk about it. And I want to start this off by saying that I have been doing social media since I was super young. I started very young. And, my peak, growing up years, you guys have seen. And even still, I'm in those peak growing years to where I kind of become who I'm going to be as a person. And although right now I think I'm at where I'm probably going to be for the rest of my life, you still never know because life is always changing. And you go through a lot of different eras and phases, and I sure as hell have gone through a lot of those. That's part of growing up. There's nothing wrong about it, but when you're in the public eye, people make you feel like there is something wrong about it, and there's not. But it's just been a lot of people being like, oh, you're in this Christian girl era and this clean girl era and blah 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 ever since you got with your fiance, and we don't know where it's coming from because you used to be spiritual and into witchcraft and all of this stuff. And I've been reading that a lot. And I've talked about this before, but I don't know if you guys are aware that I offered tarot readings. And that's kind of how a lot of people realized that I was spiritual and I, did spiritual things. A lot of people didn't know that about me. And that was because, like I said, that was one of the things I didn't really share on social media. I've said this before, my mom's side of the family was always super, super spiritual. They're from Massachusetts. I actually grew up like going to Salem all the time, and my family was like really obsessed with it. And my great-grandmother, she was actually a reader. So as I was younger, I kind of learned a lot about it and even learned how to read cards myself. And I just kind of always did it. It wasn't something that I kind of was like, oh my God, like this is like a career for me. No, I knew how to read cards. I loved it. It was like a passion of mine, and I would always read my friends' cards. So then I decided to offer it to, my followers and stuff, and I loved doing it. People loved it. It was amazing. I would still do it if I could. But my website got taken down where I offered the readings. I also did like jewelry, and like I would make crystal jewelry. I would sell like cleansing room sprays, and then I would also have sage on there that people could get. So I did a lot of spiritual stuff, and you don't see me doing that anymore. And the reason being is because the website got taken down. It's not because I just randomly was like, oh my God, I'm out of this spiritual phase. No, because for me, that was never a phase. That is genuinely just how I've always been. I just didn't really show it as much. And for everyone saying that I'm like a Christian growing up, I've always believed in God. A lot of people always come at me for that, and they're like, you can't believe in God and be spiritual. First of all, there is so many books you can read on why it's not against, to believe in God and also believe in spiritual things. So you guys can look that up if you want. But everyone believes in different things. And if I choose to believe in God and also do spiritual things, that's what I do. My whole family, that's always how they've been. So that's kind of what I grew up knowing. And like I said, my beliefs are my beliefs. But I don't really appreciate it when people say that they're phases or you lied about being this or whatever. It's like, no. And I've even seen comments like she even took all the spiritual stuff down in her room. Like, my room's kind of a mess right now, but do you see this corner over here? Over there? Like, all of my cards, all of my crystals, all of my crystals, all of my books, my sage, literally everything, that stays with me at all times. I did take some of my room decor down, like the rock stuff, because it was a phase. And I admit it, but there's nothing wrong with that because you go through phases. But yeah, I just really didn't like that people were saying that I was like lying about it. And it's like, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't opened my decks in a good amount of time, like a month or two. The last time I opened them was to give my brother's girlfriend a reading. The reason being is if you guys know about tarot cards, you know that you do not read your own cards. So if I'm not reading someone else's cards, they don't really get open. And that's kind of how it is for a tarot reader or someone that reads cards because you don't read your own cards. That is bad luck for the deck. So if you know, you know, but I would love to start them again. I really, really hope to get a website back up. If you guys know, you know, my dream would be to open a store where I can sell all of the stuff that I do in there and do my readings there, have my spiritual jewelry, my readings, I think I already said that, and then also my company. But hopefully one day. But yeah, that was something that really, really annoyed me. And it also came to people saying about my beliefs and my like look on women's rights and politics and things like that. For one, nobody's look on politics, whether they're my friend, whether they're a boyfriend, whether they're a fiance, would ever change the way I feel about women's rights. And it really proved to me that people have no idea what they're talking about because they keep putting words in my fiance's mouth that he's like against women's rights and that's why I don't speak on it anymore. First of all, I don't need to constantly talk about something in order for it to be true for me. You know what I mean? Like, I always will support women's rights. I will always talk about it with you guys when I can. Sometimes I don't talk about it, and I will admit I did stop talking a lot about abortions and a lot about my look on it and a lot about how I feel about them, and that had nothing to do because I stopped agreeing with them. I 100% agree with them. I had one myself, and you guys know that. And I will always try to shine light on the other side of the situation for people to understand why pro-choice is so important and why we should always give people a choice on their own body. I think it's completely wrong that people think that they can tell women what to do with their body. I absolutely hate it, and I want to continue to speak about that and tell my story. But I did stop, and there is a reason, and I'm gonna get to that in a second, but it's hard. It's definitely a hard situation, and I feel like when you've been through it, you understand what I'm saying. And if you are going through that right now, my heart goes out to you, because it is one of the hardest things I've ever had to experience ever in my life. But it had nothing to do with my fiance and why I stopped speaking on that. And actually, this has to do with a lot of stuff. But one of the things too was how I was telling you guys how people were saying that my phases always change. They were like, you were a beach girl at one point, and then like a baddie, or like you were in this like insta baddie phase. I was, and I'm still beach girl. Let me tell you, I live in Florida. I'm at the beach all the time when it's summer. I literally love going out on my jet skis. They're broken. I need to get them fixed, but I'm still very much a beach girl. I don't know where that came, that you like don't even go to the beach anymore. But like, also, what does it matter if I changed phases? That's what you do growing up. But that one did not change. I'm still that. I feel like all of the phases I've had kind of came together, and they're kind of still in me now. I just really don't show them as much, if you know what I mean. But and then a lot of people were like, you have like this like emo and dark phase, and yes, I did. And I'm not the most proud of it. I don't think I looked my best. I think I felt the worst, and I look back now and I'm like, damn, like why was I like so dark? Like I was like a loner. I didn't go out. I like would only go out if I was like all dressed in black. And I was getting like a lot of piercings and like my tattoos. I love my tattoos, okay? I've always said like, for me, tattoos are like a story on your body, and I love them because I've always told myself, don't get a tattoo that you're gonna regret. Get something that's gonna mean something to you, and as you get older, they're gonna tell stories throughout your life and you're, growing up. So I don't regret my tattoos. Some of the piercings I got, yes, and that's why they got taken out. But that's life. That's life. You regret things. We all do. So I just hate that people always come at me and they're like, you've changed so much. Like, it's part of life. But with that being said, I did go through this really, really dark phase. And for a while, I was like trying to understand why. And I like slowly started coming out of it. And I didn't really understand why I even went through it to begin with. And then I realized that I was really heartbroken. Like, really, really heartbroken. And now I look back and I think that it really, really, I was just so sad. And I didn't even realize it. I was, hiding a lot of my emotions and like trying to push them to the side. And my best advice I can give to you is don't do that, because when you sit and you try to avoid your emotions and your feelings so hard, it makes you go into a really, really dark place. And when I finally like came at peace with how I was feeling and took the time to actually heal from it instead of pushing it just to the side to try to forget about it fast, then I think I went back to my normal self. But I wasn't then. And that's okay. We all go through it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I understand why people are like, what? Like, when did you stop being like that? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people obviously are like, well, like, what the hell happened? And that kind of brings me back to what I was talking about earlier. I know it's kind of all over the place, but I promise it's going to make sense in the end, with the women's rights thing and why I kind of stopped talking about it. When everything had happened, I was so young, and I kind of had to, like, put on this strong act and act like I was fine because I didn't really want people to know what I went through. And then it was like a couple months away from what had happened, and I was finally, trying to understand how I was feeling and kind of try and just help myself to get through it. And then what happened to me gets leaked on social media. And that was hard. That was really, really hard. And although I've probably never told you guys how much it affected me, it really did. And it was just so hard being so young and having to tell your whole family, all of your friends, and everyone that even followed me, and even more, like just people that didn't even follow me or didn't even know who I was, heard about what had happened because it became such a big thing. And not only that, but still to this day, people make videos and they talk about my situation, and that was a really traumatizing thing for a super young girl to go through. And obviously, I take full responsibility. It was 100% something I did to myself, but it doesn't make it any less hard. And it really, really affected me. And in the moment, I was kind of thinking about everyone else. And I still think like that. I still think that I wouldn't ever go back and do anything differently because I really, really love that I was able to help so many people with my story. And even still to this day, sometimes even I'm out in public and people will come up to me and tell me, like, you helped me so much. Like, when I was going through that, I watched your video and it helped me so much. And that makes me so happy. And I'm so happy that I was able to do that. But it didn't make it any less hard for me. And I kind of tried to put on this, like, strong face and help everyone else out, but I wasn't helping myself out. And I constantly was reminded about it. I was being asked to go on like podcasts to talk about it and talk about my experience. And I didn't realize that I was bringing myself back into that like dark place that I was in. And I was just putting myself in a darker hole more and more. And that's why I like became so dark, because I didn't know how to deal with it, and I was just trying to like put it to the side. I didn't let myself heal. And I think when I noticed that, actually right before I met my fiance, that was when I was like really, really like finally like learning what was wrong, and I was finally coming at peace with everything. And it took me a while, and I think that's why now I'm just, so much happier with it and like able to kind of talk about it. But for a while it was really, really hard, and it still is to this day, I'm not gonna lie. But it got really hard when I would see comments of people being like, oh my god, like, abortion queen, or like, do you remember when you had it? Like, you don't think that affects someone? And I know that I try to be really, really strong on social media and like try to act like it doesn't bother me, but something that like insensitive that people can comment does really, really get to you. And anytime I really spoke about it, or spoke about the whole thing with women's rights and trying to kind of show people that, that's what would get brought up. And it really, really offended me. And it got really, really hard and I didn't understand why I was getting offended, because I've never got offended about comments. But I realized, I was like, you're not over it. You haven't came at peace with it yet. And that's why you can't handle seeing those comments. Now I see those comments, I'm like, grow up, honestly. Why would you comment that on someone's post? You know what I mean? But back then, even like a year ago, I was like, I couldn't get myself to talk about it. I don't know why. Even though I would try, I just couldn't get myself to. And it still is hard, always to this day. And, I'm still growing as a human and still, getting to the best version of myself. But it doesn't mean that I'm there yet. And I think people put these, like, what is the word? Is it like pedestal? They put me on like a pedestal. I don't know how to say this, but I feel like they have like, maybe like high expectations. I don't know. They have like really high expectations for me. And I feel like they forget that, I'm also someone who went through that. And everyone heals differently. And it took me a little bit more time. And I think having to explain to everyone what had happened was really, really hard, and I was really, really young, and I don't think it hit me. And, you know, I think now, like I said, I've gotten over it, but it was really, really hard. And so I really didn't like that people were putting the blame. They were like, oh, she doesn't talk about it anymore because her fiance, like, he knows what happened to me. Everyone does. Everyone knows what happened. I mean, it's all over the internet. But it had nothing to do with him. It had to do with me. And I was talking about this the other day, but I don't really think that you get over things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you get over things, especially like really traumatizing things. I don't think you just get over them. I think you come at peace with them. And it's always going to be in the back of your head. I mean, traumatizing events that happen in your life are always going to stick with you. They make you who you are today. But you don't just get over them. Over time, you come at peace with them, and they teach you things, and they teach you how to become yourself. And, you know, you get to the best version of yourself, but you don't just get over it. I think you just come at peace with it. And that's my opinion, and that's kind of what I had to realize. But yeah, that is why I don't really talk about it, and I've never even said that before, so that's crazy to admit that something bothers me, because you guys know I'm like very like, I'm so strong, nothing bothers me, but no, it does. So there you are hearing it. But yeah, I feel like I didn't want this video to be like crazy deep, but I feel like it kind of is. But yeah, I think people need to realize that I go through stages, and I did have a dark, if you want to call it, emo stage. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? There's also nothing wrong with having a little baddie Insta phase or a beach girl phase. But some things, I'm like, they weren't phases. And, you know, especially things that you're really passionate about. But I don't need to share everything to you guys for you guys to see it constantly. You know, you guys see such a short amount of time in my life. You guys don't see all of it, and I wish you guys could, because then maybe you'd understand me more, but you don't. And I just wanted to clear that up, and wanted to say that I just don't really think it's nice, or like, not even nice, I just think it's a little disrespectful to act like a young girl can't go through phases. Like, why am I getting hate for the phases I've went through? You know what I mean? Like, you know how many phases you guys have probably went through? I don't even want to know, because we all go through them. You test out different lifestyles and different activities and different hobbies until you find what you like. And I think I'm still finding what I like in this life. You know, I don't think you ever really find everything. Life is so short that it would be hard to get as much done as you would like. But I wanted to talk about that because one thing is I will never stop speaking for my woman and getting our rights. But it just got hard, and I had to really focus on myself and make sure my mental health was okay. And, you know, I wasn't making myself more sad by speaking about it. I needed to heal from it. But that doesn't mean I still won't talk about it. I still will talk about it. But you have to understand where I'm coming from in that, you know, position. And also for the spiritual stuff. You guys know I'm spiritual. I don't care what anyone says. For one, it's really no one's business. But that's not something I would lie about, especially considering the family I grew up in. It's just always been something that my family has been into. Like, there's nothing I can, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. It's also out of my control that my website got taken down, and that's why I stopped offering tarot readings, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's really all, I guess. I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about, leave me alone, let me go through my phases, okay, and become the best version of myself. I think we're getting there. I don't know, hopefully, maybe, I don't even know for real. We'll see. We will see. But yeah, I gotta go and get a dress for my engagement party currently. But also, if you're watching this, everyone in this world likes to judge each other and make each other feel bad about your past or things you've went through, and don't. Like, I've said it so many times in this video, they make you who you are today. going through phases and changing over time isn't a bad thing. It's not at all. I don't know why, this world like forgets what being a human is. I don't know why, but we do. Not everyone's life is just perfect. It's not. No one's is. And there was something else. Oh, another thing too is I just really hate that people constantly bring up my past relationships and like who I was in my past relationships. Like, obviously those relationships didn't work out. They were a part of my life. I learned a lot from them. But obviously I'm gonna be a whole different person than I was in my relationship 3 years ago. And obviously I wasn't meant to be with those people, and that's why it ended. But that's okay, because we experience and we date people and then we find our person. And I think I did find my person. I'm like, I'm getting married, so I wouldn't have said yes if I didn't think he was my person. And I just kind of want people to stop bringing up who I was in my past relationships, because obviously I was a different person. And I think that you don't meet the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with until you're ready to. And I think I wasn't ready back then. I think now I've matured. I've, done a lot. And I feel like now I met my person. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys know what I mean, but I hope you know what I mean. But yeah, I just hate when people bring it up and like, oh, you went through this phase with this person. Like, okay, what do you want me to do about that? Some of the phases, though, that's why I responded, because I was like, you know what? I understand where they're coming from. But if you're a girl and you're going through a similar thing, like what I went through, and you're feeling alone, I understand what you're going through, and my heart goes out to you, and you will get through it, okay? It's going to take a while. Don't rush it, but you will get through it. And I'll always be here to support and be there as best as I can for the people going through similar things for me, because I really think almost coming out with what had happened, and although I hate that it was leaked so much because it was really, really hard for me, it's almost like a blessing in disguise, because I get to, talk about it and be there for all of the girls who need someone, because when I was going through it, I would have loved to go on YouTube and watch videos about someone I watched on social media that had went through that. So I'm very glad that I'm able to do that for you guys. And, I apologize that I maybe didn't talk about it as much, but it got hard. We all go through stuff. But yeah, that's my story. That's my little rant. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what else you guys want. If you want a mukbang drive with me, I will do that. Just let me know so I can get a tripod. Bye. Oh. Never mind. I'm not leaving yet because I just remembered something. Pizza Hut is texting me. Anyways, Pizza Hut is texting me about some deal they're having. I forgot to talk about one thing. A lot of people were talking about my wedding and how I completely changed. I can't explain it. When I went wedding dress shopping, the whole idea of having a dark and maroon and black wedding, I love maroon and black. You see my room, those are my favorite colors of all time. I love the way they look together. But when I went and tried wedding dresses on, I don't know what it was, but just the white wedding dress had a chokehold on me. And I've seen a lot of people say that it's different when you go wedding dress shopping. You have an idea of what you want, but when it really comes down to it, you change. And that had nothing to do with anyone except me. I just was running, you know what, I kind of want to look at white wedding dresses too. And I tried them on and I just fell in love with them. And I also have really just fallen in love with nature, and that's why I want my wedding to be very naturey with greens and stuff like that. But a lot of people have been talking about that. I'm I don't know. I don't know what changed. I really liked it when I went. But anyways, that is all now. Wanted to clear that up real quick. Bye.